Hello and welcome to Creator Toolbox. This is the show brought to you by the ServiceNow Developer Program, where we try to give you, the ServiceNow developer, the tools you need to be successful building things on the Now platform. Before we get into today's show, we're going to do some introductions. So we'll start with Earl.
Hi everyone, I am Earl Duque. I am a developer advocate here at ServiceNow. I am about close to 5 years on the platform. Just joined ServiceNow about 6 months ago. But before that, I was with a bunch of the different universities in California, so mostly higher ed, nonprofit. Mark.
Hey, everybody. My name is Mark Scott. I'm a solution architect at ServiceNow. And prior to this, I was doing consulting with a bunch of different companies doing implementations, which was a lot of fun. I've been on the platform for about, I think it's 5 years, about the same as Earl. Helsinki, I think it was my real first release that I got into. So
No, I think that's no. I was Geneva. I think so.
okay,
Not sure. Yeah.
Somewhere in there, yeah, in that Geneva, Helsinki area. Yeah. That's where I came about.
Nice. So my name is Brad Tilton. I'm a senior developer advocate with the developer program here at ServiceNow. I've been building on the platform for a while as a customer, partner, and employee. I'm excited to get into it. I think we're in week 4 of our San Diego release season. This week's all about Integration Hub. And with that, Earl is going to show us one of the new features that we have in Integration Hub in the San Diego release. Before we get into that, there's a little data pill San Diego thing to Earl's left. And all of our San Diego videos have that on them, so you can easily identify that this is a release video.
Sweet. Okay, so jumping into it, today we're going to be talking about a specific thing that they added into Integration Hub to solve a problem that would happen, a very specific problem where, I feel like this happened to all of us. Like I remember this happening when I was on platform with workflows. It's like when any integration that you potentially have, you would be you build the integration, you build the whole thing, and it's working perfectly fine. Something like someone signs up for access with another system, and then a workflow fired off an integration to requisition that access via a REST API or something like that. And then one day you wake up and you have 100 tickets sitting in the incident queue because their API went down, or they had maintenance API and they didn't tell anybody. They had maintenance on their API and they didn't inform you, which is why change is important. But so now you're sitting there thinking like, oh, how do I reset workflow context? How do I make sure this happens? But it went down the wrong workflow branch now because it failed. We never accounted for this. So the thing that we're talking about today is a new form of retry policy strategy called retry after. It's something that has been around for a while, but now it's supported inside Integration Hub within Flow Designer. And we're going to be looking through a lot of what that looks like pretty quickly, and the new system property that comes with it, and the updates to the operation views that came along with it in San Diego. But that's one of the primary use cases. It's like, oh, the API is down for maintenance, and they know when it's going to be up again, or another more common one is an API has throttling because you designed a workflow to call an API 3,000 times in a 1 second. It's going to throttle you. Or you launched a program and everybody went straight to the sign up button, and now like you weren't thinking 100 people were going to sign up at the same time, but when you just launched the service, 100 people did sign up at the same time. Therefore, you got throttled. So the retry after policy is what solves for those like two primary use cases, throttling and when you know an API is going to be down. So let's jump into it. I'm going to share my screen now. There's us. Hi.
We're still here.
Fun behind the scenes fact. I tend to do all the scene transitions, but also when I'm also doing the driving, I get like confused sometimes. So if screens shuffle around wildly, and if we're on the side versus on the bottom, that's probably my fault. But anyways, I'm gonna just show the screen now. Okay, so I'm in a brand new San Diego instance. I just requested this yesterday, I believe, because I accidentally let my PDI go away. So
Oh,
here's a fresh
That's
new
okay.
PDI.
You had everything backed up to Git, and so you were good, right?
I actually did, yes. I have. That's what. It's also why I'm like I really don't worry about my PDI expiring, is because I just back everything up. It's like second nature to me to make sure something's attached to a Git repository, or if it's like I have somebody else's update set, I'm always making sure to re-export it just in case. So here's a new San Diego instance. Look at next experience. So retry policies, you can find them in under connection and credentials of Integration Hub, and you'll see that there's 3 default retry policies here, and so one for REST and SOAP calls, one for JDBC, and one for SFTP. To utilize this new retry strategy, you're going to want to create a new one, and we'll call this the retry after policy, and it only works on REST and SOAP calls. So I have HTTP as the connection type here, and you'll see that the honor retry after header appears here. And if I change it to JDBC, you'll see that it's not an option there. So under HTTP honor retry after header, there's a couple of things I want to configure. So in case you don't know how here comes our faces, because I'm going to be talking for a bit. Here comes our faces. I try to give you a warning, Brad. I try to give you a warning.
I know. I was checking the time.
So if you don't know how a lot of REST APIs work, is when you send a request to an API via REST, it always comes back with a status code. And there's many status codes. I'm not going to talk about them right now, each one or anything. But the main one that we're thinking about right now is the status code 429. So we're going to say if the status code comes back with 429, 429 is the one is associated with retry after. And so if we ever see a HTTP call in Flow Designer that says the status code is 429, we automatically know, like, oh, okay, we're probably going to retry something here, and we're going to try to honor the retry after header here, because often a good API, if they have a 429 status code, they should also have the retry after header. And I think I said this on one of the last week's episodes. What an API is only as good as the documentation that they provide for it. And so a good, well documented API will tell you, like, if you get a 429, you should expect this header, and and then you have to figure out what you want to do with it. And so we're gonna say here, if we ever see a 429, we're gonna try to get a retry after header, and we're gonna say the max amount of time is 30 seconds for it to try to do the retry. And if it's anything longer than that, then we'll just, in our use case, we'd probably like fail the that part of the section, and then like do something to account for it, like in a try catch or a new try catch. Watch last week's episodes. But okay, so we've created a new retry policy, so I'm gonna go ahead and submit that. And now I'm gonna jump into Flow.
So Earl, before you do that, I just want to point this out. That retry policy that you had there, where you were setting that up, that's where we normally would put retry policies. This is new on top of that, right? So this is the same place that you would normally put your regular retry policies. There's just some extra in here, so don't go looking for a different place.
Yeah, that's why I want, like, the episode, I think we just titled it as retry policies. This is specifically a new retry policy strategy within retry policies.
Right.
So retry after is just a new strategy within retry policies.
Yep.
So there's a bunch of different retry policies that you can have. In San Diego, it's specifically retry after that is new.
Right.
Okay. So going back into Flow Designer, I'm going to go ahead and create a new action. And
I wonder if we'll be able to do any of this through Flow Designer in the future. Maybe we can ask somebody on the Integration Hub team on Friday.
Wait, what? Through Flow Designer?
Yeah, if we'll be able to do that from within Flow Designer, like the
configure the
connections and credentials, that sort of thing.
That would be neat, convenient.
So I'm going to add a step here called REST. If you don't see this within your Flow Designer when you create an action, it's because you haven't turned on the plugin for Basic Integration Hub. REST steps are included in the very, very bottom, the lowest package of Integration Hub. The starter, yeah, that's what it's called. Thank you. So I'm creating a REST step. I have a API that I've already set up. Let me go define inline at servicenow.com. It's an API that I created specifically for this demo. What it is whenever you try to call it with a get message, it essentially returns a 429 error, and that's all it can do. It doesn't know how to do anything else. And so for this demo purposes, we're using that so that for the sake of seeing how it works here. Sorry, did you say something?
No, just that API has one singular function. It does one thing.
It's a great thing though. It's demo. All right, so we're gonna call that manually, and we're going to say, I'm gonna not turn on retry policy. So down here is where you would enable a retry policy. So I'm gonna go ahead and just test it out how it is, and let's go look at what the result says. Oh, here's the demo part. Waiting for things to spin.
So one of the things I wanted to point out, every time you use a connection inline in Flow Designer, I always feel super dirty. I'm like, I know I should.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah. It's never a good idea to define your connections inline, but you should always define it outside of that. But whenever I do it inline, I'm like, well, we'll just do it real fast here. It'll be real fast, and I'll come back and clean it up later. Never do.
Yeah. So what is the best practice, Mark?
Best practice is to define the connection within a REST message, right? And then be able to pull that down in your drop down from the top of your designer flow. Instead of building out each one of those URLs individually, it should come from a predefined URL that you've already built out. I also like the fact that your production, you've put me full screen almost on this. Like, tell us exactly how to do this while your test is running in the background, and I hope I'm saying it correctly, because that's a lot of pressure.
That's what I would do. Yeah. It also just makes it easier. Like, no one wants to have to update an entire action when an API changes.
Yeah.
When do we hit the refresh button? Tell us.
I'd say.
Should I have to press save first? I'm just gonna press save first.
Yeah, it's always a good idea.
Yeah. So, Creator Toolbox demoing. Waiting. This didn't happen last night when I practiced this.
This is like Let's Code happy hour level here. This is.
We can't even say we'll edit this part out in post, because this just gets published live right away.
I mean, we could say that.
Yeah, you can say whatever you want.
All right, refreshing.
Yeah, refresh. Yeah, Sean. Hi, Kevin. No pressure. Now your thread's hung.
Thanks for being so supportive, y'all.
Yeah.
This is going to be one of those situations where right when we try to do this, like PDIs went into maintenance or something.
It'd be awesome.
Use the SNUtils to switch nodes.
Ooh.
I don't have that installed.
Can you cancel transaction?
Yeah, that's probably a good idea first.
I mean, try it. It's worth a try, right? Perfect.
Oh, it's not even showing me this page where it shows the transaction cancellation.
Hmm.
There you go.
Well, your
Well,
UI.
the PDI is not sleeping, so that's a good thing.
Hey, there we go.
Did it save? Nope.
Well, you ask too much.
Did it? So what were we doing?
We were testing it, what it looks like without the.
Did you just test like an empty flow? Is that what we were testing?
No, we're testing the action.
Or an empty action?
Yeah.
That might have been what it. No, because it actually was running.
Yeah.
What?
Here it is. See, look. Oh, did I not?
Oh.
Yeah,
There you go.
I think because you hadn't saved after testing.
Guess so. Now it's like running lickety split.
Boom.
We learned it here, so you won't.
Everybody save. That's the save early and often.
Did I mess up the URL?
Yeah, I think you see you've got the resource path there.
Oh my gosh, everybody. This is just embarrassing. Let's pretend I've been drinking.
Hold on.
I know, it's
Did you
only
save
8
that?
a.m. for me.
Did you save before you?
I did press save on that one.
Okay.
There we go. Okay.
There we go.
So here's the problem. It says success and it's completed, as if like, everything was fine and dandy. But I know for a fact that it's returning a 429. Wait. Yeah. No, see, that's not the steps. Let's go down here.
Yeah, let's look at the status code. Method failed.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
429.
429, but it's returning as a complete. So that's that's one of the problems now. So this is even worse than if it in this case, because it actually looks like it worked, and so your flow would continue on as if everything was fine and dandy.
Mm.
So especially in that use case earlier that we were saying, where it's like your flow is trying to integrate with another system and requisition access, it's gonna look like it's complete. And so here's why retry policies are good for to account for if the API says that is a potential thing that might show up. So let's go ahead and add that retry policy now. Now we're cooking with gas, everybody.
Yeah.
So here's the retry policy that I configured earlier. I'm gonna go ahead and save it again, and now let's test it. All right, here it is. And you'll see that it's waiting. See, automatically it's already waiting to see it didn't actually complete right away because there is a step currently awaiting a retry. Perfect. And if I go down here, you'll notice there is a new section called retry info. This is updated for San Diego. So anytime you have a retry policy, it adds this section into your operations log to let you know that, hey, we're waiting for a certain amount of time. Then here's the next retry. Here's how many times we've actually retried from here. And then if I press refresh, has it been 30 seconds? Let's see. There, now it moves into complete because it retried after that. Again, you still need to factor in what you might do if you encounter one of these a retry after instead of just testing for it. But if I show you what it looks like on the API side, so I have again, I'm just saying return a 429 and then set the header as retry after for 10 seconds. There is nuances that you want to remember within retry after policies. You want to remember that it needs to be in it accepts two formats: an integer of seconds, so retry in 10 seconds, retry in 20 seconds, retry in 30 seconds, or there's a specific HTTP date and time format that you can provide in the header that some APIs can provide, and ServiceNow knows to interpret that as a not in a certain amount of seconds, but at an exact time I'm allowed to retry. This is really good for like API down for maintenance. They know it's not going to be in a certain amount of seconds. It's going to be at a specific time when it's back up. And so ServiceNow knows how to interpret that. If it's at any incorrect thing, like if I say 10 here, or if I put like -10, say like retry in the like from the future, no. it'll actually error out, and you'll see those errors within your system log, not in Flow Designer, but within your system log. It shows up as an error there, or it might be a warning. I think it's a warning. But yeah, that's how you configure and you get a retry after policy strategy running within Flow Designer, within Integration Hub. The next thing I want to show, I mean, well, do you guys want to see? No, nobody wants to watch me malform this and go to system log to see a warning, right? We could just skip past that. What do you guys think?
I think that's pretty mundane.
Yeah. Let's
Alright,
see
so-
this thing. Let's see this thing work.
Yeah.
Well, let's jump in.
Assuming that's where you're going next.
I mean, I just showed it that it worked. That so when you have a retry after policy on, it hits that 429 and then it starts waiting for the next time for it to be available. So that's it showing it working.
Nice.
I was gonna say this is gonna be a short episode. The last thing I wanted to show was also, so it's the retry policy, the new operation section, and then the system property. So it doesn't exist in your instance until you create it, but I created it earlier. If you create this system property glide .fdih.retry.max time in seconds, the default value for it, if you leave it blank, is 80. I believe this is 1 day.
Mm-hmm.
You could put it to a max of 7 days. So whatever is 7 days times 7 times 86,400. But you can also do things like, so say my retry after policy was retry after a minute, or that's the max time I allowed for a minute on there. I can also set it by system properties saying, actually, no retry policies can go past 30 seconds. And if I set that here and save it, even if I have a retry policy, where is it? Even if I have a retry policy, retry after policy of with a max of 60 seconds, that system property will say no. We don't want it to go earlier than that.
Nice.
Oh, it should not exceed 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So you can set it by system property to be 10 seconds also, and any retry after policy that tries to go longer than that will automatically kick back and say, nope, I don't want it. And it'll show up in your system log.
That's awesome. So that's almost from an admin perspective of saying like, hey, this instance will never accept anything over, a day or something like that. And then this on the retry strategy individually, you can actually say, hey, no, I don't want anything over like an hour or something like that. So you could actually like granularly on each level, right, configure this. And I was actually going to ask this question, and you've already answered it because of this, is, if you're taking that 429 header and you're just dumping it straight into your retry policy and saying, hey, just wait this long, right? What you've done is you've moved control of that flow, let's say, to that API. So if I was a nefarious person, right, and I said, now I'm going to make all of my API return, 10 years or something, and all of your flows are now locked. Right. This is your way of preventing that, of setting this value and making sure that nobody accidentally sets, the wrong value at an API, and you've got flows that are running for 10 years.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So it's good. There's already it's already safe and defaulting to 1 day max without any system property. But if you want to fine tune that, you can always make that system property. Again, just check the docs. It's all sitting there in the San Diego release if you need to look up what to name it, or pause the video here and make your policy, make your system property, and change it. Remember, that's in values of seconds. But yeah, that's retry policy, retry after strategy in a nutshell. It's pretty simple, it's pretty straightforward. We knew today's episode was going to be pretty solid because it's like something that it's one of those things that in HTTP, REST, and SOAP world, we know we encounter it every once in a while.
Mhm.
So it's good that it's here. Not necessarily a pretty and sexy feature for San Diego, but it's like when you live in integration hub world and you potentially could hit every single status code out there. Besides, what's that? Some of the funnier ones,
Oh,
status codes.
it's pot 518, I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah. uh, Something's cooking in the pot still, or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
Um.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good APIs have good reasons for every status code, and so you might hit some of those things. And now ServiceNow is slowly getting to parity with all of those things that might be out there. Things that we need to, be the full integration system, which is what I'm really I mean that's one of the things that gets me excited for ServiceNow future is
Yeah.
that it's becoming more and more. It's not like I remember talking about this with somebody. It's not necessarily that there's other companies that like to buy up a lot of other companies, just like left and right to fill out things. ServiceNow is more just like, hey, we're partnering pretty much with everybody. So ServiceNow is going to be everywhere. It is everywhere. And it's these kind of integrations and
I mean,
ways to set it up easier that makes it possible.
to your point, right? Setting it up easier, right? Like Node.js, let's just talk let's just go on a different programming path, right? There's no parallel to this, right? You have to handle this yourself. So the caching, the retries, the holding on to something and waiting for that long, which we all know computers are really bad at, right? You have to do that yourself. This is another tool that the platform has abstracted away from us, that we don't have to worry about that anymore as developers.
Yeah.
That's what makes me super excited. It's like, yeah, this was a problem, right? This was a problem for every project I've ever integrated anything with on anything other than ServiceNow up to this point, right?
That's
Yeah.
that's why we like ServiceNow is a low code platform, but we just shouldn't be shying away from things that are called low code. Like think about retry after policy.
Yeah.
How annoying a scripting that is, because the HTTP standard says you either have to be a positive integer or a date time. And then you have to factor in what you do after a certain amount of retries. Is there a maximum amount of times before you cancel it out? Can an individual retry have more than 30 seconds? What if it goes more than 1 day at retrying every 30 seconds? When does it cancel? You would have to script and figure out all that stuff. And now, like what Mark said, ServiceNow has abstracted that away and said that is now a low code feature.
Yeah.
Now I don't ever have to think about that again.
Yeah.
Anybody that's been on the platform for X amount of years, you're like, oh yeah, I remember back in the day we had to do that manually. Yeah, that's every release we're moving away from that. And I think of like back in the day, like how much time was spent doing manual labor or doing specific stuff, and then now we have technology, and now we are able to not think about some of the tedious stuff and think about the more fun stuff or the more complex stuff or the more creative stuff, and focus on that, while ServiceNow takes care of the easy stuff.
Yeah. No, ServiceNow takes care of the hard stuff.
I mean, yeah, the hard stuff.
That's right.
Doing the easy stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Earl, for leading that and showing us retry policies. That was great. Yeah, so we've got another show on Friday afternoon, U.S. time, live coding happy hour, where we are going to talk. What are we? Imports? Is that what we're doing?
Excel imports via App Engine Studio. Yeah.
Integration Hub, App Engine Studio, Excel imports, bringing it all together. Awesome. All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us. Do you have an announcement, Earl?
I'm about to go release several hundred mentorship pairs to the wild.
right.
So I'm gonna go press that big button.
If you sign up for the mentorship program, expect an email from us. So yeah.
Not everyone expect an email. The ones
Okay.
that we were able to find pairs for.
The people that matched. That's fair.
Yeah. Several hundred though.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining, and we'll see you on Friday for live coding happy hour, talking more integration hub.
Thanks everybody. Have a great day.